Hello and welcome to the Dirge of Mourning. I am your host, Andrew, alongside Terry. In today's episode, we'll be taking a look at an album called When Death Comes / Again, from the band Aphonic Threnody, released respectively in 2014 and remastered in 2023. Let's start this episode off with a little, what would be the right word here? Not exactly a backstory, but information.
Yeah, just some information.
For
General information, in case you don't know.
Yeah, I'm just going to put it out there like this then. Holy shit, there's two versions of this motherfucker!
Yeah.
Like, Christ.
I love this. I didn't think I would, but I did.
The best part about having two versions of this album is maybe you like one version slightly better than another, but maybe a different track sounds better remastered or not remastered, and you get to pick and choose. And it is just, it is just awesome, and I love that.
I love this band, and I love this album, and that's all I have to say. I can say that and say, okay, that's it for me.
And Terry has left the building. She'll come back and give it her scoring later, don't worry. So, musically, this track starts with something ominous.
Oh, yeah.
Now, depending on what version of the album you're going to listen to, you'll get two versions. One by a male and one by a female. And they both say something similar but different. And it's all about the concept of what a ghost is.
Well, the interesting thing is it's spoken word. It's prose. So, that's really the main point, I think, there is that little bit at the beginning is your spoken word introduction.
And the fact that it leads straight into the music is also very interesting. It's not just a standalone little stanza by itself, a separate track. No. This is built into the music itself.
Yeah, it's definitely part of it.
Oh, absolutely. Which has a great way of opening up what we hear with this, either male or female haunting voice or recording of what they're saying, where we get the music hitting in with its, blast of epic riffs from the bass, the drums, etc. But then those death growls come in and they really capture this feeling of overall, what would be the best description here? I guess it would be sorrow and uneasiness. That's what it was giving to me when those first couple of notes sort of come in and do their thing.
Mm-hmm. And I think you're talking about the musical aspect.
Yeah.
The well-known sound of theirs with
absolutely.
That melody.
Yes. I mean, they use that particular style throughout this entire record. It's so identifiable. Like the minute you hear it, you know who it is.
You know it's them. Right.
Yes.
That's probably what I'm trying to say. Yeah.
They really capture their unique sound in just the opening couple of bars here.
I guess that I really liked it because I put a little heart on there. So.
I guess I would put coffins, but my thing won't let me. But as we get from the standard intro that we all have known them to come up with at this point, we are introduced to soft solos that are very emotional, with chorus voices that run throughout this album as well.
Yeah.
In this song in particular, the impact of the harmonized vocals are very painful and full of sorrow that shifts the song into a more deeper agony in its intensity to bring about what will soon become an even more mournful melody.
Right.
To when the vocals...
because it's just the intro to the album, and it's already on this very dark, bleak, sort of path that it's going to go on. You will see You will see as we get into the other song.
As the chorus voices are sort of slowly waned out through all the different versions of the death growls, there is an expression here that mixes haunting rhythms and somber tones in the way that the both rhythm guitar and lead guitar are played. And this all comes to this big sort of like dismal, heavy end that leaves one obviously satisfied but dissatisfied. There's a very juxtaposition there, and I absolutely love the way that the music carries that. What an outstanding title, right?
Yes.
So the track starts very slow.
Yes.
Almost somber and muddy in its march, right? It sort of builds up. It's building that momentum. But it's all done with synthesizers, setting a very doomy mood.
Right. I even wrote down doom. Yeah.
So when we get into the more familiar ideas outside of that synthesized doomy pattern, the piano kicks in, making it even more somber, making it more dramatic until that bass and guitar creep in with a very classic tempo that we've all come to know from the band.
Yeah, right. If you have listened enough songs by Aphonic Threnody, you will recognize almost right away. Oh yeah, that's them. You know, I mean, if it's all new to you, that's cool too. Just take it all in.
Again, it's that very classic tempo from them that really marks how good they are at Funeral Doom. Mm-hmm. They've come into this genre with this first album and said, we're just here to kick ass, and we're going to take all your names musically.
Right, and you just said first album, which is just this amazing.
Right?
Like so many, wow. How do you do that for your first album? Amazing.
Oh, absolutely. And it only gets even more amazing when the death growls kick in, giving you that emotional element to the song, bringing back some hints of the synthesizers, again with that moody element. It continues to play throughout, getting sadder and sadder, and then it sort of calms down again with that atmosphere. And then the music comes back, again expressing this almost like otherworldly unrest, as if the band is playing with every fibre of their being, and the death growls come in yet again, crushing into almost a simplistic bridge as they play, leading straight into what can only be described as just pure agony.
Well, I did note down something that's interesting about the music on this song is that the speeds or tempos do change quite a bit. So it varies, and that's for your emotional impact.
Absolutely, because as we near the end, we do hear this hopelessness of like piano being played and the violins coming in, and the song fades on this hopeless feeling.
And yet it's beautiful.
It is. It is, because you've got the mirroring of the vocals being clean and aggressive as this all comes together at the end. This is just, each song is getting better and better as it goes on.
Sadder and sadder.
Okay, so this is a very weird thing to say, but if you're only going to listen to one version of the song, I'm going to recommend the remastered version.
Okay, what would that reason be?
Because there is an intro here that is not in the original.
Ah, interesting.
So the almost like reportery type narration here for this intro states that dementia is on a higher rate than ever, especially here in the UK.
And in the US probably too.
I assume it's all over. But just to give a small microcosm of what's going on, the narrator explains that it's not necessarily a disease, perhaps. It's more of a brain deficiency, slowly dying, And I thought that was a very interesting sort of add-on to help sort of make the song musically, and as we'll get to lyrically, much more depressing.
Well, just as a sort of side note here, the actual word dementia, when you think about the word dementia, it can also mean, or in a different tense, demented. And when you think of that, that's kind of creepy and horror-y.
Yes,
and
it is.
Okay, so we're not just talking about hospital-type dementia here. We're talking about a feeling, something going on.
And that is perhaps what really brings in, both when we finally deep dive into the lyrical aspect of this, it also enhances the musical element, because they are almost simultaneously intertwined here. Like, this is going to be a hard one to dissect, because we're just focusing on musically at the moment, but I'll give a brief summary, because when we do hit the lyrics for this, I want to come back to some of the musical elements of how they tie into this. So a quick sort of go through for this one is simply that somber classic start that this band seems to just have a way of performing. Each song starts with this very slow, methodical, thought out way of pulling you in to how they feel. And those death growls again amplify the feeling to that whole lyrical dynamic that we will be getting into very shortly. The whole expression here with both the guitars, the violins, all the background pieces coming together, adding in these like mood swings that they change, they come together. Some parts are a little bit lighter and brighter in some parts. Then it's really dark and negative and aggressive. It's almost if it's punishing to listen to, but rewarding at the same time. There is a feeling of confusion, despair, and hope being mushed into a blender that has this undertone of misery and melancholy dripping from it.
Yes, I like your description there. That's very cool.
It just, to me, when I was sitting there listening to this over and over again to make sure that I had a really good idea of what I was listening to, the term funeral doom metal.
Yes.
They emphasize what it means to be a metal band in this song. With its chaotic, hellish components.
Right.
Even though it has the structure of funeral doom.
Yes.
They are bringing out the fact that they know what they are at heart, musically.
Yes.
And they are bringing it to the forefront in this agonizing, heavy sound. And as the last chime hits and rings out, you're left with just this feeling of, where am I?
I know. Yeah.
The irony is not, or should not be lost on anyone. The children sleep.
Oh.
This is a hard one.
It is.
This is a right in the guts.
Yeah. Well, so, you started about the musical aspect, and like you said, we'll get into all the picking apart of what this means, because this one was different. Yeah.
And the best way I can go about describing how this music just destroys one's soul is perhaps like this. The slow, soft, gentle guitar, as if you're rocking a child to sleep.
Yeah.
Back and forth. It's very slow and somber. The music becomes sadder and sadder, and then the death growl comes in, adding an emotional weight that the guitars represent as the momentum builds, with solos in between these parts. And then we're hit with powerful expression of pain and anger of this particular piece is intensified.
I'm glad you used the word pain, because that's I've used that a few times with this song. Yeah.
This album, again, we will sum this up, but I come back to these feelings of it's pain, it's agony, it's sorrow, it hurts, it hurts, it hurts.
Yeah.
Everything about this is a grief-stricken why, and that why is angry and pointy and jaggy, and it hurts to say it.
Exactly. It's a question.
And that, again, is where the music mimics as we come into, again, the additional elements of vocals adding in mood, that the death growl's coming back again with much more force. The main riff, again, comes in like a gut punch, and then it softens out. As if to have all of that dust settle. You can finally start to think and sober up as the instrumentation is giving you this sense of melancholy. But overall, the track ends on a feeling of one of regret, sorrow.
It has a real soft ending.
Yeah, you're just sort of left there going,
yeah.
What did I do to deserve this? Somber tones with piano.
Oh, I actually starred this about the piano and said, great.
It is. It is fantastic.
It is. So, yeah, I definitely, and I underlined it too. I'm like, so it must be really, really good. Without sitting here again and listening again, I must have loved that.
The fact that it sets the mood perfectly to what can only be described as just kick-ass funeral doom. Period.
Yeah. Well, you know, we keep coming back to a few things. You're talking about the use of certain instruments over and over again, the death growl over and over again, soft parts over and over, choral voices a little bit in some. And the thing that struck me about the entire album, musically, was that it is a fantastic representation of exactly what funeral doom is and should sound like.
You're absolutely fucking right. You're 100% fucking right on that. That there's no if, buts, maybes.
Yeah.
You know, you want to come up and say, but if you know that, shut up.
Shut up and just listen to this album, and then you will know.
Yes. If you've got any questions about how to do any type of funeral doom, check out this album. This is how you start your journey.
Right.
Because musically, you will hear, this song has it. This song has it all. It has your synthesizers, your piano, your mood setting with those particular instruments, your weeping guitars, your soul-crushing main riffs, the ability to have this back and forth with, you know, unending agony and then this gentle melancholy within it. Yeah. And again, just, I've said it before, but I'll say it again, constantly pain, raw, agonizing pain.
Yeah, definitely.
The vocals reflect all of this as the music fades to the sound of a grave being dug.
I know.
Now,
how cool
I'm going to ask everybody that's listening right now, tell me one other thing that's better than that when it comes to funeral doom.
I know. What else could there be, right?
There's nothing else better than that sound at the end of an album, a shovel hitting dirt. And I fucking love it.
It's pretty cool.
We have spoke about the music having all of these emotions. How do you overall experience that? What are your feelings on the musical elements that are being portrayed here? How did it make you feel, is what I'm asking.
How did it make me feel? Pensive, thoughtful. I like the sound of Funeral Doom in this manner, the proper manner, because it does give me that. I just really like this whole thing. I am used to listening to enough Funeral Doom to not sit there and cry my eyes out, but honestly, you could if you get into these songs.
Well, see, for me, this album is one of sorrow, melancholy, anger, regret, and is an epic example of Funeral Doom.
Yeah.
That's why I walked away with feeling of, holy shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
That is top tier Funeral Doom because of how it made me feel. It's no surprise that this is our favourite segment.
We do love lyrics.
This is why we save it for last, folks, because we
save the
tease
last
ourselves immensely over here.
As they say, save the last for best. That's for... No, that's not what they say. Save the best for last is what they say. They don't say it the way I just said it.
Well...
I don't know what I'm saying.
That's fine, don't worry about it. But what we should worry about, though, is the Ghost song.
Okay.
Ghost's song, I should say.
The Ghost's song. So, we already spoke about the fact that there's the prose describing, basically, what a ghost is.
The concept of a ghost.
Ghost, yeah. Well...
Which is a strange thing, don't you think?
Well, to me, okay. So, what I'm getting, from the lyrics on this one, it's like, it's almost being said from the point of view of the ghost. So, it's about roaming around and...
Well, here's what I got from it. The fact that it may be from the point of view of a ghost, but imagine the person's not actually dead. They're not actually a ghost. They just feel that way.
That could be as well.
In other words, you could be in a crowded room and still feel alone.
Well, yes. But I don't think this is talking about being alone at a party. I do think this is talking about a ghost. And the one part that makes me think that is, I'll dream we didn't die. So, I do think it's about a ghost, sorry.
Okay. I will leave it up to you,
Ghost,
our expert lyricist.
Ghost, spirit, whatever. Well,
this apparition.
Yes.
It's seeing a loved one. What would you say is the overall thoughts of this particular ghost or phantom?
That they simply can't rest.
Because that's the kind of thing that I got, especially with the phrase that I absolutely love. So the phrase that I enjoy the most simply goes along the lines of like this. All my tears will vanish in haze, while I'll be watching your grave at night.
Mm-hmm.
That to me spoke volumes on what it would actually be like to watch someone else go through the same process as you did. But also, again, having that sort of same thought that I had earlier, could be someone who doesn't feel like they're part of this world anymore because of the loss of a loved one.
That could be possibly too.
You see why I think there could be a double meaning here?
Yeah, but you have to take into consideration the very first line. I'm behind you whispering in your ear, but you won't turn your face at me. In other words, I'm still here. I'm dead, but I'm still here. And I think that's the concept.
It could be, but I also could interpret it this way. I can be right next to you, talking to you, but you will not listen to me.
Yeah.
So, again, I think there is a double here, but it really just depends on how you wish to read this one, I think. Are you looking for a more ghostly feel because of the title?
I do think it's someone that's dead trying to capture the attention of someone living for some reason. I'm a roaming soul, less than a shadow, and I can't rest. There's something going on here.
True, but again, I like to point out the element of you could feel that exact same way when someone passes away. or you no longer have contact with due to unforeseen circumstances.
You can also feel that way if you're like, don't have any friends and wandering around in a city or something, I suppose.
Exactly. There are...
I don't think that's what it is, though. I do think this is about a spirit, and I do think it is about someone that's dead. I do. I believe that most of the songs in this album are straight to the point. However, there's an exception. We'll get to that. I'll let you know.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think I know the one you're talking about.
Okay.
But we'll get to that. We'll get to that. But no, lyrically though, it is a masterclass in storytelling, right?
Yeah.
Like it gets
Wonderful.
every sort of emotional element perfectly.
Well, and if you didn't listen to the music and you just read these as poetry, which basically they are,
yes,
you would get a whole story, with all of these poems and put it together and draw from it what you will.
Okay.
What I'm saying is they could stand alone without music as poetry.
Yeah, which I think is a huge step up in terms of lyrics compared to like other genres.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, I hate that A-B or ABC nonsense chorus here and blah blah blah. I hate that. It's so monotonous and doesn't give you anything. After you listen to, say, a pop song a couple times and you sing the song, oh yeah, that's nice, that's cute, then you just don't want to hear it again. At least that's how I am.
There's no substance
I'm tired
to
of
it.
that already. You know?
There's no substance to that kind of stuff.
Right, no substance. Nothing. Look. The dying person is first person. So it's being spoken from the point of view of the dying person, in my opinion. There are dead trees and endless snow. Springtime won't come for me. My body's twisted and corrupted. So, I think this actually is, you may think differently, but...
No, I agree this time.
I do think this is truly just a person contemplating their coming death.
Yeah, I 100% agree, especially with my favourite sort of lines here. I am not a man anymore. I'm like the roots of those trees out there. Mm-hmm. Growing old. I'm digging my way to the coffin I'll be in tomorrow.
I know, isn't that's lovely. There, let's just ponder that as we're laying in bed dying.
Yeah.
Well, in a day or two, I shall be in my coffin.
It's like, holy shit, right?
But what are you gonna think about?
Fuck.
I mean, I hope I don't.
Yeah, well.
I hope I don't think like that, but
you never know though. That's the thing.
We haven't been down that path yet.
And also the fact that this particular character is obsessed with their own death, their own demise. Mm-hmm. They're trying to rationalize it at the same time. At least that's what
They don't want to die.
Well, hence why I'm saying they're trying to rationalize why this is going on.
I just want to feel alive once more, not being just a corpse. I want to love once more and cry once more before the next stage of decomposition. That's really gross, but it's true. And this happened. I mean, come on, I know people who are quite old walking around, I hate to say it, but they are already decomposing.
Oh, absolutely. There are walking corpses out there. I know I say I look like a walking corpse, but...
Oh, please. But truly...
No, it is absolutely
And then the last line, I just sort of summed it up. I am the living dead. In other words, walking around like a corpse, yep, I am the living dead. Like, I'm dying. No, I'm dying. No, I'm going to die very, very soon, too. It's not like, the doctor gave you a couple years. Right. No. This is someone that absolutely knows, and they don't want to.
So, I'm going to lay this out. Now, we'll probably touch upon this again nearer the end here, but I'm going to say, right now that every song, lyrically, is connected.
Yes. Oh, they are. Yeah.
And I'll touch on that a little bit later more on that, but
maybe let's finish going through and then you can sum up with how they link.
With dementia, like I stated with the musical element, I prefer the re-release version because of the sort of little spoken wordy type intro that kind of explains what dementia is and what's happening with it in a sort of roundabout way. Okay. Where do you sit with this one lyrically?
So I think it's actually just describing dementia. Let me see here. Let's see. There's several lines that.
Well, I'll go with my favorite line.
It's describing possibly how a person who has dementia would feel, because the memories. Okay, example, my mom.
Yeah.
Couldn't really remember who we were at the end. I think she knew by looking that we were still part of her family, but yet she couldn't remember very much. And where the child's eye, I think that's a key. Those are key words there, because when a person gets dementia, they sort of revert to these very childish ways.
Yeah. It's almost as if they age in reverse mentally.
Yeah. Not so much like Benjamin Button, but
no. But again, the mind sort of reverts back to what it relied on as a child. Because one of the things that I've sort of come to realize about both dementia and even Alzheimer's is that their perception of things is vastly different. Their understanding of things is vastly different to reality. Like, they'll see things that aren't even there, for example.
Oh, yeah, definitely. So, and it does make me wonder if back before people understood about dementia, if they thought that people were seeing ghosts and spirits, because they will see things and see people, and my mom saw animals, but
like I said, I think all of this stuff is interconnected.
Yeah. So
what would you say your favorite lines are from this one then?
My favorite phrase in this is, dementia is eating my world. My memory is a I can't say the word, but purulent, P-U-R-U-L-E-N-T, purulent scar. I love that.
My one has to be...
The memory's just all...
Yeah. and then from that, I have to go into this one, because this one really caught... This is what solidified it for me.
Okay.
Slowly the time dissolved from whom you loved. Forever they're lost. They left this world. In other words, you're watching them slowly decay in front of your eyes, and then they're gone. The person you knew, that you were watching, just from day to day, slowly becomes, oddly enough, like in the previous song, a living corpse.
Right. That is it.
They can't really move all that well. Their motor functions really start to go. Their breathing, their whole entire system just kind of shuts down to that last moment.
Not only do they not understand who their various relatives, people are amongst them, like maybe trying to help them or whatever, but we cannot recognize them anymore. So I've said many times that in watching my mom go through this, the death of my mother did not happen on her death day. The death of my mother happened way, way before that. My mom, not my mom anymore.
It's almost similar to that as in cancer as well, because you watch the person physically decay in front of you.
Right.
They might be able to speak a few little words here and there, but it barely makes any sense.
Right.
They don't move. They just, the colour is all drained from them at that point.
I mean, I really honestly don't know what's worse, your body decaying or your brain. Because...
Right. They're both kind of scary scenarios.
Absolutely. And I know people having both things, one or the other going on. And trapped in your body or trapped in your mind, I don't know. It's
a scary thought and a true tragedy, which does lead us...
Before we get to that one, I do want to say that the last one, I definitely wrote down the word excellent, and that one was, to me, really, really, really good. The whole album's good, but that one stood out for me, I think.
Yeah.
I wrote the word pain in several places here, but I put soft opening - torturous pain. It's like torturous.
Yeah.
This is the one that I was talking about where you may disagree with me, but I believe that the description of pain in here is being used as a metaphor.
I believe so.
Through the whole thing. And some examples, very clear examples, let me see if I can find them in here. I did write down the, like a blade, a hammer. You know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely. These type of descriptive words get across, like what we were saying with the musical element. There is such heartache here and very visceral pain, jagged pain. It hurts. Everything is uncomfortable.
It's describing whether it be the way you think or whether it actually be physical, the agony of pain. This is an agonizing death. This is agonizing. The agony of, not the agony of pain, the agony of dying.
Yes.
Where this whole album, this one really, really brings it right to you.
Absolutely.
It's like, here it is. Let me lay it out on a platter for you. This is not fun.
No. You're absolutely right there.
I love this. I just love this torturous pain, and I just love this agony. But this is very special.
The title is misleading, I believe.
Yeah.
And for this reason, you think by just reading the title alone, you will understand the complexity of this song. Because of the way that it sort of starts off. And some of the things that it lays out. You think that someone is murdering a child.
Yeah.
Until you actually sit and read it carefully.
Right.
This is a song where you need to sit with the lyrics and actually dissect every phrase.
Well, I think even the word children is a metaphor for just, have you ever heard of people in general being spoken of as, like, the flock?
Yes.
So, I do think we're not talking about toddlers here. We're talking
No. Here's what
about humans. We're talking about humans.
So, this is how I'm just gonna tie in everything so it makes a bit more sense, at least from my understanding. We have someone here knowing that they're suffering with this dementia. They are becoming obsessed with trying to understand their own death. They also feel alone because no one understands them.
Right.
The children's sleep is, again, referring back to what we stated with the whole dementia thing. They revert back to that childlike mentality. So we are putting an adult child, in quotations, to sleep. Mm-hmm. We are witnessing their unspoken torture. This, I think, is what this song is talking about. They're going through all of this agony and they're unable to express it because of their brain not being able to comprehend what is going on. They can't tell you, oh, this part hurts, or I can't remember who that is anymore.
I mean, they can't talk anymore. They can't.
Right. So
I mean, unfortunately, our solution nowadays for a person in that state is let's just medicate them so they won't feel anything. That's basically all they actually can do.
Right.
Because you don't want a person to be laying there suffering in horrible pain. So it's really awful, and that's why torturous, agony, and basically when you get right down to the end here, there's a theme here also of we all die. It's everyone. You're going to go one way or the other. So
exactly. And I think that this is kind of what the album in and of itself kind of touches on, is like this could be a possibility. With all of the things that I've said, this is why I've come to this conclusion, right? Of why I think, the same way you do, that this is all a metaphor for someone who cannot communicate their feelings, their thoughts. And it's simply summed up in this little paragraph. If now you can hear me, please show me some bliss, as with children when they go to sleep. Mm-hmm. In other words, you put a child down gently. You don't just throw them onto the bed. You put them down gently. You soothe them. You try and tell them that there's nothing to be afraid of. You comfort them. You give them that sense of bliss.
This is what, I mean, speaking in realistic terms, this is basically what hospice workers are good at. This is what they do over and over again. Right, and this is kind of what I think this is slowly touching on, is that last bit of, care. I mean, they specialize in that. That is their specialty. Unfortunately, we have to, we have that, but, maybe fortunately.
Right. This is a double-edged sword here.
In general, when hospice nurses step in, first of all, that's generally when we know that someone is going to die. I mean, there's not very much hope that they would suddenly pop out of something. But when they step in general, most family members and probably the dying person feel comforted and feel relief. And I talked to one lady who told me her husband had died, and she told me she put off getting a hospice. She had him at home. Put it off. And she said, oh, but once they came, I should have done it so much sooner. It's so much better. Mm-hmm. Because those people understand the process.
Right.
They might not be living it because they haven't died yet, but they understand enough of it and see enough of it that they know how to comfort, how to just give that comfort.
They're a little bit more sympathetic to the scenario.
Yeah.
Or at least they should be anyway. Hence why I believe this entire album, lyrically anyway, is connected with this person dying from dementia.
Yeah.
And it all comes to a head. This is the pinnacle of where it all ends, right? This is the end.
This is the description, my friends.
I'm just going to lead it off with this. Skin becomes pale. Rigor mortis is on its way.
Yeah.
Flesh is no more the same. Frozen cold, it turns blue. Winds of putrefaction coming from the depths. Soon, larvas are starting their feast.
Yep.
Do I need to go on?
No.
This is the end. You are in the ground.
Right. This is the final stage, basically.
Right.
Again,
if we go back to the sound effect of the grave being dug, this is foreshadowing. They already know you're dying. They're digging your grave now because you'll be in it soon. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, that's pretty much what we're getting here, right?
Yes. And one thing that I really liked was the very last line. When we're no more, just dust remains. And I think that is what everybody always says, ashes to ashes, dust to dust.
Right.
And another thing that I would like to toss out there, how we were talking about a person with dementia being totally in themselves and alone.
Yes.
Like no one understands you. You have to remember this. You come into the world alone. I mean, yes, you're given your mother birth.
I know exactly where you're going with this. You come into this world alone and you go out of this world alone.
Out alone. We don't take with us a ton of people. Or anything, right? Or anything. So, if you, have a good sense of just basically living your life and who you are, I think in some ways that's probably more important than 1 million friends and $1 million.
I agree. Having self-worth in that sense is far more valuable.
So it actually makes it possibly easier to understand the concept of eventually you, as you know yourself, are no more, but yet you're dust, you're still part of the world in a way.
Right. The whole fauna and flora type idea.
Yeah.
But again, when we evaluate those last final moments within the context of this album, the person has these feelings of, I want to touch you, I want to reach out and talk to you, but I can't physically. So all I'm left with is this idea of, they keep telling me I'm going to die, so now I'm obsessed with this concept of, oh fuck, I'm going to die, oh fuck, I'm going to die.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, how am I going to die?
Mm-hmm.
Wait, they're telling me I've got, this thing that's eating my brain? Oh fuck, I'm a zombie. I'm literally just a breathing zombie at this point.
I mean, it is a very relevant album for today because, as you stated, there's dementia's on the rise. Possibly our bodies are possibly outliving our brains. I mean, medical science and better healthcare, people are living longer.
Again, there is no quote-unquote cure for this.
No. It is a disease. It's a progressive disease. There are many forms of it.
Right, hence why I sort of stated the whole Alzheimer's-y type thing as well. It's kind of linked.
Yeah. I mean, there are different forms. Like, my father, who's quite old, I believe does have a form of dementia, but it's more of a natural aging sort of process where you might tell a story a couple times in a row, or you might get days a bit mixed up, but good Lord, at the age of 92, what are you gonna do? I mean, do you expect to be perfect by that time? Although, I do know of people who are like 100 years old, that I've talked to personally myself, who are completely lucid, know exactly what's going on.
Yeah, they're extremely with it. They have all their faculties and stuff. See, this is the thing, will our brains be able to catch up with our bodies because of the whole medical advancements?
Well,
that would be something that...
Very interesting.
Aye.
That's very interesting.
Fuck me, this album gets you thinking, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Holy shit.
What's interesting about Funeral Doom?
Hell yeah. So, we've got album art. Holy shit.
Yeah.
Yes, we shall dive into this, seeing as we've got more than just one image to look at today. The first image that I'm going to put up on the screen here for you guys is the re-release album. We're going to take a quick look at this one, simply due to the fact that when the album came out, I received this as a gift for my birthday. Thank you, Terry.
Yes. Well, welcome.
Hey. As we can see, there is a decayed skull.
Yes, it's just a fairly simple, straightforward picture of a skull somewhere.
Yes,
possibly
some form of animal, I'm guessing.
It's an animal. Yeah, it's not a human skull. Name of the band, their logo picture, and the title of the album. Pretty straightforward.
Absolutely. Simplistic yet effective.
Yeah, right.
And the colour scheme for this album is just absolutely superb.
Mm-hmm.
Love it. The next image we have is the back of the booklet. Again, just listing off a little more detail for what this particular album contains. For it does contain a bonus track, again, another version of Our Way to the Ground as a bonus track. Twice, I might add. The folks involved range from Chalice of Suffering, Rise to the Sky. That's just to name a few. Again, lyrics are just presented in a very standard way here, but very clean and sharp. The inside of the CD cover, again, just more of the album art. The back of the album, as you can see, both versions here of the song. Not sure which one I would recommend. They're both fucking fantastic. Now we get to the original album. This is the back of the original album. A much more, what would be the correct terminology here? In your face approach?
I was thinking in your face. Here is looks like a vertebrae bone, a backbone, and it's not pretty. You know, it's given to you just blah. Here it is, a decayed, dirty bone.
Right, you're sort of faced with reality, I think, with this version.
And that's the point, I think, because that is...
I will say that I do like the little setup here for the way that the tracks are listed.
Yeah.
I do believe that they are just really well done on this particular part. Then we have the full concept on display. This is reality. This is the metaphor.
Yes.
Everything that we are seeing here is what this album represents. Yeah, so as you guys are seeing, the decomposed animal here. Now, this was something that we seen quite early on, and we thought was very interesting.
Yeah.
The way that these particular lyrics are set out. We have this fantastic image of death and a nun, and then I'll assume on the same section we have the ghost song with an image of a shadow trying to reach out to a person, and then we move on to, again, more imagery above the lyrics, as you guys can see here. Looks like an old woman amongst the twigs in a wheelchair.
Yeah.
She looks very frail and fragile.
I mean, you're looking at, death on its way.
Right.
I mean, hate to think that way, but it is true.
And then for dementia, we have an old man what looks like he's forgetting everything, because we see, I'll try and enlarge this as best I can for this image, but there seems to be little jigsaw pieces around his forehead. As if they're slowly disappearing.
Yeah, interesting.
So he is slowly forgetting things, which I think is a very unique idea for this. Again, this is where this could be misleading. For the children sleep. We have a newborn child, but then a man with a knife. What are the imagery that we're supposed to see here?
Well, possibly man with knife, death, and childlike brain or head, not child. Metaphor for child.
Right. And then, of course, we have the final.
Well,
you're in the
no
grave.
explanation needed there.
No, you're in the grave. This is you.
Yeah, that's your coffin. You're going under.
Pretty much. And then the last image here, guys, is again, it just kind of sums up the whole point. This is decaying life. You can pray, but it does you no good.
Like
all ends the
my
same.
Final words, we all die. Like, you know.
Pretty much.
Come on, you can't escape it. I don't care what you believe. You can't escape this.
This is one thing that is unavoidable.
You know, you either fear it, or tolerate it, or embrace it.
Also, another reason why I like this genre is it's nice to be reminded of your own mortality, but you don't have to dwell on it.
Right. No, we don't want to dwell on it. Speaking on it would be kind of, you know. I think the artwork gets the point across about what sort of torturous, painful thing is going to be coming in this music. I think it represents it pretty well. I mean, I guess I'd do like a 9.5 for the art.
I strongly agree.
It gets the point across, and that's important.
Absolutely.
It's not meant to be beautiful, pretty art. It's meant to get a point across, especially when going through with each song. That was really interesting.
Ten out of
10.
10. Down
We
right.
really liked it.
Both versions, 10 out of 10.
Both versions. 10 out of 10. I'm very happy.
Whether you prefer one version over the other doesn't matter here. That is irrelevant.
No, doesn't matter.
This is a strong 10.
A strong album.
It is.
This is a strong album, and highly recommend it. Go listen to it.
Absolutely. So, final thoughts then. How would you want to sum up all of this?
Well, very strong representation of the very lovely genre funeral doom.
It is a joy to listen to, but it's a joy of sadness.
It's a sorrow,
but one I welcome.
Yeah.
One hell of an album. Again, does not matter which version you enjoy more. Buy both albums. They're fucking phenomenal. Now, with that all said, that's going to do it from us here, mourners. Until next time, remember, every day is a funeral.